This is our Ratmen army for today. It is very similar to the Ratmen army we've had in the past. The only change that we've made is instead of 2 units of 10 militia, it is changed to 1 unit of 10 warriors. Because somewhere along the line, the points went up somewhere. Unit by unit, we have 1 weapon team. All of them are armed with death rollers. Three storm ogres, all armed with Gatling fists. The 10 warriors that, for some reason today, all brought their farming tools. Ten storm veterans, all armed with halberds, with a leader with the artificer skill, giving them all an additional AP in combat. 3 sniper teams. A unit of 6 rat ogres with a leader character who has the tunneler ability, giving them ambush. A great death roller with the bladed wheels upgrade. Then 2 pieces of Ratmen artillery, firing off the poisoned boulders. Opposing them today is going to be the Havoc Dwarfs. This is a more mobile version of the army that does not have any war machines in it, but it does have a large block of slaves. Let's look at the units. The first unit is a brick of 20 hobgoblin slaves, led by a sadistic taskmaster. So whenever they fail a morale test, the taskmaster kills one of the slaves and counts the morale test as passed. The second unit is a unit of 10 warriors, all decked out in their fire-blacked armor. They have a leader with them who is carrying a charred shield, giving the squad regeneration, and with all of their shields they have the rule shield wall, where they get +1 defense against anything that is not a spell. Our next unit is 10 immortals, also in their soot-covered armor. They're all carrying great weapons, and their leader also has the charred shield ability, giving them regeneration. A unit of 10 berserkers, who are fearless and furious, and with their slayer rule, whenever they attack anything with a toughness of 3 or better, they are +2 AP. 2 squads of 10 shooters, all armed with rifles. A squad of bull centaurs. With their 2 attacks at AP 1, Impact 2, and Furious, they are some of the heaviest cavalry in the game. 3 golems. These particular golems seem to be made out of animated chains. Then finally 3 flame spirits. They are ethereal and furious, looking to punch the enemy in the face with a fistful of molten rock. Here's our map for today. The deployment is going to be frontline, and the mission is going to be relic hunt. The 3 glass drops on the board are the relics. In this mission, whenever a unit passes over top of them, it picks up the relic and carries it with them. If that unit fails morale test and flees, the relic is dropped. At the end of 4 turns, whoever has the most relics in their possession is the winner. With both armies deployed, the scramble towards the relics can begin. Rolling to see who goes first. The rats are going to have the first turn. With the opening action of the game, the rats are trying to thin out the massive numbers of dwarves. One of the artillery pieces slings its poison boulders into the berserkers, getting 2 hits, causing 6 with the blast and poison, but the berserkers are able to save a whole lot and only kill 3. The taskmaster nudges his slaves forward, going as fast as their shackled feet can take them. They are slow, so they are not able to get to the relic on turn 1. Ratmen fire the second catapult, this time at the shooters on the opposite flank. Again, it gets 2 hits, but this time the armor of the dwarves doesn't hold. They lose 5 of the shooters, forcing them to take a morale test, which they pass. The squad of Havoc Dwarf warriors moves up, and they claim one of the relics. The Rat Sniper squad crests the hill that they are on, and through their scopes they're able to see the Dwarven leader wearing his golden armor. They all three fire their sniper rifles at him. All three hit, but the Dwarf warrior leader is able to make all three armor saves. The ethereal fire elementals are able to phase through the terrain and their fellow dwarf to end up in front of the Dwarf warrior squad. Storm Ogre's squad moves forward and levels their Gatling fists at the fire elementals. After a massive amount of bullets are fired downrange, one of the fire elementals has disappeared. Berserkers, being naturally very upset, move forward as fast as they can towards the enemy. The three mini death rollers surge ahead, ready to take on anyone who fills that gap next turn. The bull centaurs on the far flank move forward. Using the advantage of their longer legs, the Ratmen warriors move forward, but stay outside of what would be charge range for the slaves.
This way.
The dwarf immortals, suffering from short leg syndrome and the traffic jam of so many dwarven models trying to go through the same gap, is only able to go about 4 inches into the back of the slaves. The storm veterans are also stacking up on the same corner the warriors are, waiting to see what the Havoc Dwarf army does on that flank. The chain golems move up behind the berserkers on the corner of the board. The Great Death Wheel sees the opportunity to charge as he lines up against the bull centaurs. As he crashes in, he causes 5 wounds with his impact hits, killing one centaur and wounding another. The bull centaurs attack back, causing 1 wound to the death wheel. The bull centaurs pass their morale test. One of the shooter squads moves as fast as it can over the difficult terrain to get towards the relic. Second unit of dwarf shooters, since there's no more rat units to activate, move off the hill and fire into the squad of death rollers across the field. They get multiple hits, but with the addition of cover, the death rollers are able to save every one of their armor saves. At the beginning of turn 2, the Rat Ogre and their leader pop up behind the Immortals, knowing full well that their short little legs can't reach them. Starting off turn 2 with the first activation, the Rat Death Rollers charge into the Flame Spirits. With their lance hits, they're able to cause 3 wounds, which takes out one of the Flame Spirits. The Flame Spirit attacks back, causing 1 wound to the Death Rollers, and then the Flame Spirit fails its morale test and runs away. Knowing there's no point in looking back, because they can't reach them, the slaves move forward and grab a hold of the relic. The Great Death Roller charges again into the Bull Centaurs, this time not being nearly as effective, only causing 1 wound.
More power, yes.
The Bull Centaurs attack back, causing 2 wounds to the Great Death Roller, and it passes its morale test. The unit of Dwarf Riflemen on the hill move forward and grab a hold of the relic. Now the Dwarves have all 3 relics in their possession. The Ratmen warrior unit charges into the slaves. They're able to kill 3 slaves, and the slaves on their attack back are able to kill 2 of the warriors. The slaves need to take a morale test, and they fail, even with the increased leadership from the leader. But then the taskmaster looks to his side and kills one of the other slaves to keep all the rest in line. The Dwarf warrior and leader, who are in possession of a relic, charge into the Death Roller squad of the Ratmen. As they charge in, they cause 4 wounds. The Death Rollers attack back, and they're able to kill off 2 of the Dwarves. The Death Rollers have to make a morale test, and they fail. Where they're just under half strength, they run off the board. The Storm Ogres move forward and fire into that squad of warriors that just killed their Death Roller friend. They're able to hit with all 12 of their shots, but after good armor saves and regeneration given to them by the leader, only 3 of the Havoc Dwarf warriors go down. The Berserkers charge into the warriors that are still on top of the slave unit. Between their number of attacks and their furious hits going off, they're able to completely overkill that warrior unit. The Rat Ogres decide now is the time to strike as they charge into the rear of the Immortal unit. With all of their attacks, they're able to kill 7 of the Immortals, even through their regeneration. The Immortals attack back, able to do 1 wound to the Rat Ogres. Then the Immortals promptly fail their morale test and run off the board. The shooter unit moves up to the hill and aims downrange at the Storm Ogres. They fire off their rifles, and they're able to cause 2 wounds. The squad of Ratmen snipers fire from their hill to the hill that has the shooters on it. They're able to kill 2 of the Dwarven shooters, who then fail their morale test, causing them to drop the relic. The chain golems move forward to provide more cover for the slaves that have the relic. One of the Ratmen artillery fires its shell into the slave unit, causing 1 hit and killing 3. The bull centaurs attack into the Great Death Wheel, and because they are fatigued, they don't get their impact hits, and all of their attacks miss. The second Skaven artillery piece fires into the slaves as well, causing 1 hit and killing 3. The Storm Veterans, taking the last activation of the turn, decide to make their presence known and charge into the Berserkers. They're able to kill off 5 of the Berserkers on the charge. The Berserkers attack back, and because they are fatigued, they are only able to get 1 hit, which the Veterans are able to save. The Berserkers then fail their morale test, but they're fearless, and they proceed to roll a 2 and run off the board. The Chain Golems start off turn number 3, charging into the Storm Veterans. They are able to kill 3 of the Veteran Rats. The Rats fight back, and in a flurry of 6s with their rending halberds, they're able to cause 5 wounds on the Golems, taking out 1 and causing 1 to drop to 1 wound, and then the Golems pass their morale test. The Great Death Wheel sees an opportunity to cause some chaos. He revs his engine as he pulls away from the Bull Centaurs and plows into the Dwarven Warrior unit. Now, with his 8 impact hits with the Bladed Wheels rule, it was just too much for the armor of the Warriors to stand. They take 6 wounds, dropping everyone except for the leader down to 2 wounds left. The leader attacks back. Even though he gets some hits, he's unable to cause a wound. Then that leader proceeds to fail his morale test, run off the board, and drop the relic. The unit of slaves charge into the Storm Veterans, trying to get their unit to move and swing its butt around to be outside of 12 inches of the Rat Ogres. With the attacks between the slaves and the leader, they're able to kill off 3 of the Storm Veterans. The Storm Veterans kill off 2 in return. The Storm Veterans then pass their morale test, and if they had only lost 1 more slave, they would have been outside of charge range of the Rat Ogres. Seeing the relic hit the ground, the Storm Ogres move forward to grab it and open fire on the unit of gunners behind the relic. They're able to kill off 6, and the shooters need to make a morale test and promptly fail, becoming pinned. The Bull Centaurs, seeing what they think is a lighter target within charge range, charge into the back of the Storm Ogres. Between their impact and their AP1 attacks, they are unable to do a single wound to the Storm Ogres. The Storm Ogres then turn and remind the Bull Centaur that even though they're carrying guns, they're still ogres. Proceed to do 3 wounds to the Bull Centaurs, then the last remaining Centaur with 1 wound left fails his morale test and runs off the board. The Ratmen sniper on the hill fire at the unit of pinned shooters on the other hill. This time, surprisingly, 2 of the shots missed. They were still able to kill 1 of the dwarves, and it is still pinned. The unit of shooters on the ground unpins. The unit of Rat Ogres charge into the Hobgoblin slave unit. Because everything is so tight over here, only 2 of them are able to get close enough to engage. But those 2 immediately pound 4 other slaves into the dirt. The slaves that are remaining attack back, unable to cause any damage to the ogres. They then proceed to fail their morale test, and the Taskmaster removes 1 of the slaves to keep morale high. Both of the Ratmen catapults, since they're the only units remaining, fire into what's left of the slave unit, getting 2 hits and causing 4 wounds on the unit, taking out 3 of the slaves and 1 wound on the leader. The leader then fails his morale test. Since he cannot remove himself from the squad, he is now pinned, and the relic is back in play. The 2 dwarf shooters on the hill that have unpinned move down, grab a hold of the relic, and take some shots at the Storm Ogres, then decide to miss completely. The Great Doom Wheel moves forward and charges into the squad that's on the ground. With his impact hits, he proceeds to run all of them over, turning them into greasy spots in the desert. The Chain Golem attacks the Rat Ogres in a last-ditch effort to stop the tidal wave of rat muscle coming at them. They're able to cause 2 wounds, which removes the wounded Rat Ogre. But then the Rat Ogres attack back, taking 4 wounds off the Chain Golems, causing them to break into tiny little pieces. What's left of the Storm Veterans then charge into the leader of the slave unit, cutting him down and claiming the relic for their own. Since there's no more dwarf activations left, the Ratmen snipers fire at the 2 dwarf shooters on the hill, easily taking them down, causing the relic to drop again. Then the storm ogres double time it up the hill, and they're able to grab a hold of the relic. So at the end of the game, not only were the Ratmen able to grab a hold of all 3 relics, they were also able to remove every Havoc Dwarf from the field for a stunning Ratmen victory. That'll do it for us today here in the garage. I hope you enjoyed the Ratmen's Redemption Battle Report. If you were a member of the channel, you got to see this early. This is going to be members only for about a week and a half, and then I'll release it to everybody else. For everybody else watching it on the public channel right now, these are the benefits you get when you are a member. You get to request a battle report, and you get to see it first before anybody else. So until next time, hope you all roll nothing but 6s. I'll see you later.